When you hear the name Dostoevsky, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably something about immense suffering, right? Deep, dark, philosophical novels like Crime and Punishment. I mean, the guy's pretty much the king of existential dread. But what if they told you that's only half the story?
Because hidden away in his early work, there's a totally different author. One who wasn't so interested in tragedy and was a lot more interested in absurdity. We're talking profound suffering being traded for, well, for two grown men bickering while hiding under a stranger's bed. Yeah, you heard me right. Let's get into it. So we've all got this image of the legend, right? The guy who wrote these dark, soul-crushing masterpieces. But today, we are pulling back the curtain on the surprise. A Dostoevsky who wrote frantic slapstick comedies, full of mistaken identities and just pure hilarious chaos. It's a side of him you probably never knew existed.
Okay, our first stop is a short story called Another Man's Wife. And honestly, it reads less like a heavy Russian classic and more like a wild stage comedy. It's just this breathless, hilarious chase through the streets of St. Petersburg.
It all kicks off with our main character, Ivan Andreevich. This man is absolutely 100% convinced his wife, Glafira, is cheating on him. And this isn't just a little suspicion, oh no. It's a full-blown obsession, and it's about to launch him into one of the most ridiculous nights of his entire life.
So, how does his night completely fall apart? Well, first he confronts some random guy on the street, totally convinced he's the one. Then, and you can't make this up, a love note literally falls on his head at the opera. This, of course, leads to a frantic chase to the supposed secret meeting, where in a moment of sheer panic, he dives under a bed, only to find out, hey, it's already occupied. And through this whole chaotic mess, Ivan Andreevich is constantly muttering this one phrase, "Hey, Cutter Olasi," which pretty much means, damn it to hell. It kind of becomes his personal catchphrase for the night. He says it when he's confused, when he's mad, when he's scared, so basically the entire time. It just perfectly sums up his frantic, unraveling mind. And this all leads to the best part of the whole farce. Huddled under this bed, Ivan and the other guy start having this furious, whispered argument. They're complaining there's not enough room, judging each other's morals, and even accusing each other of being too fat for their hiding spot. I mean, it is the absolute height of absurdity. Now, the most important part of this is that there's no tragic ending, no big, profound lesson. Instead, Ivan's wife Glafira shows up, she spins this unbelievably ridiculous story about a carriage accident, and our paranoid hero believes every single word. He's totally outsmarted, and the whole thing just ends on this purely funny note. So, what a ride, right? But just when you're getting used to Dostoevsky the comedian, he completely flips the script on us. He shows us an entirely different face, one that's much quieter, much more somber, and deeply, deeply compassionate. Okay, now we are entering a totally different universe with a story called The Honest Thief. The tonal whiplash is real here. The laughter just stops, and suddenly we're face to face with a heartbreaking story of human weakness. And the entire story really hangs on this one single, powerful paradox. The man was honest, yet he stole. Think about that for a second. How can a person be good at their core, but still do something dishonest? That question is the heart of this story. And really, it's a question Dostoevsky would wrestle with for his entire career. So what in the world is an honest thief? Well, it's this character, Emelian, who is just fundamentally a good, harmless soul. But he's been so beaten down by life, by poverty, by alcoholism, that his weakness just takes over his good nature for one moment. The story is all about that devastating conflict between who a man is and what he's driven to do. We see all this through the eyes of our narrator, Astaphy, a hard-working tailor who takes in the homeless Emelian just out of pity. And these two guys could not be more different. Astaphy is the very picture of responsibility and hard work, while Emelian, he's like a ghost of a man, just kind of shuffling through life without saying a word. And it's Astaphy's struggle that really pushes the story forward. He tries everything he can think of to save Emelian, to give him some purpose, but it's no use. He's caught between this deep compassion for this broken man and the crushing reality that Emelian is probably too far gone. He just can't bring himself to throw him out on the street, but keeping him is this constant, heavy weight. See what I mean? It's a world away from our first story. There are no frantic chases here, no arguments under beds. The honest thief finds all of its power in the quiet moments, in the silent tragedy of one man's weakness and another man's unshakable pity. So, okay, we have these two stories that feel like they were written by completely different people. On one side, you have slapstick comedy. On the other, you have this somber tragedy. How do we make sense of these two worlds coexisting inside one author?
Well, when you lay them out side by side, the contrast is just wow. Another Man's Wife gives us the absolute chaos of human foolishness. The Honest Thief gives us this quiet, heartbreaking compassion for human weakness. The tones, the themes, they're polar opposites, and yet they came from the very same mind.
And that right there is the big takeaway. Dostoevsky wasn't just the master of tragedy, he was a master of humanity in all its messy forms. He got that human life isn't only about profound suffering, it's also ridiculous, it's absurd, and sometimes it's just plain funny. The farce and the tragedy were both tools in his toolbox, and he used them both to get at the very same thing, the truth of the human soul.
So that leaves us with one final question. What does Dostoevskian really mean? Is it only about the dark, philosophical wrestling with morality and God? Or does it also include the frantic, foolish, and deeply funny spectacle of just being a person in the world? Maybe the real answer is that you just can't have one without the other.